All right, Martin Popoff here with another edition of Reliving Old Reviews as a Useless Tool of Confusion. This is the short snapper show that we have here on the Contrarians, where we look at an old period review and see if the writer got it right. Today we are looking at a very important album in heavy metal history, URIAH HEEP's Very Eavy, Very Umble. That title is so complicated with the dots and the apostrophes and all that, and it's just really weird sounding. And then they renamed it URIAH HEEP in America, and I remember drawing that as a kid, that cool monster art. By the way, at martinpopoff.com, I can still supply my big fat URIAH HEEP hardcover visual biography, something like 500 pictures in here. It's a full detailed timeline. You can get that at martinpopoff.com. And right now, because these are fairly expensive right now. Let me know, Messenger or Facebook me or whatever. Email me. I will throw in a second book with any orders of one of these right now. One of my smaller, paperback books that I could put in, only for Canada and the States. Okay, let's take a look. Of course, that title is so complicated, they screw it up. By the way, this is a review that was sent in by Chris Jackson. Chris has been very helpful with this show, sending me nice little JPEGs of some of these old reviews. So thank you, Chris. This is from The Enemy, June 20th, 1970. It is a review by NL, or the initials here. It's a very short review, so this won't take long. But yeah. They do a picture of the band. They say URIAH HEEP. Their LP is reviewed below. And like I say, they screw up the title because it's very apostrophe heavy with an H, dots spread out because we got right justified on this review. And then Very Umble is done correctly with the apostrophe Umble. Oh, that title just drives me nuts. Vertigo Records. Okay, so the review reads, Very Eavy, Very Umble? I'm afraid not. Eavy ear obviously means loud, and if the concept is hit him with dramatics and a monster sound, then they are way off beam. Wow, because this absolutely is a monster sound. You don't get a more monster sound in the invention of heavy metal. Literally, not even Black Sabbath on 2 Black Sabbath albums in 1970, and not in rock. You don't get a sound as heavy as Gypsy kicking off. And the rest of the album, the recording of this album varies a little bit, but Gypsy is just so beautifully and hugely and pristinely recorded. Tons of rich bass, tons of bright treble, and just that incredible Hammond organ riff alloy. It is absolutely monster. So this is kind of getting it wrong there. And this is definitely very heavy, very loud, mean, whatever you want to call it, for 1970. This is, like I say, this is an important milestone in heavy metal, this album, right? Let's see. Lacking the subtlety to make that idea work, this album is a veritable pain to listen through. So lacking subtlety, you get this a lot with these old reviews where if an album was uncommonly heavy, they usually complained about it because they weren't doing lots of different things like Led Zeppelin would trumpet. Oh, we can do everything, right? But the problem is when you do everything, you're just doing less of everything because mathematically you still got your 35 to 40 minutes, right? So that used to just drive me nuts. We could do it all. Well, all means less of each of those things. Okay, so let's see. It's too loud, it's too repetitive, too predictable, and the distortions intended to blow your minds, you Eavy freaks, you are simply offensive to the ear. So obviously, this writer is not acclimatized to this uncommonly new kind of heavy music coming out of this band. And is just finding it just abrasive and offensive. And this goes all through heavy metal history moving forward, right? People freaked out at how heavy sounding thrash was, or death metal, or black metal. And it's like, oh my God, it's noise, right? The famous quote from Kerrang, Venom sounds like a vacuum cleaner with drums, right? Okay. They have a song called Gypsy, for instance, which is an acceptable group composition. Then they start laying on the guitar distortions and overbearing organ, the repetitive riffs, with the result just a noisy chaos. And that's the way it goes on. That's the entire review. So yeah, it's calling it an acceptable group composition, laying on the guitar distortions. I like the plural on distortions. That's kind of funny. Overbearing organ. And this is the first time we've really heard organ like this, right? You might say you hear quote unquote overbearing organ on Deep Purple Mark 1 or Vanilla Fudge. But this album's coming out right around, within like a couple of weeks, I think. Hang on, when is In Rock? Anyways, it's not early 1970. Black Sabbath is the beginning of 1970. It doesn't have organ, but it's funny that, like I say, I think I've always said this. I think URIAH HEEP on Look at Yourself and on Gypsy in particular get a better Deep Purple sound than Deep Purple Mark II ever got. Closest coming to it being the entirety of the Machine Head album. But I think Gypsy sounds incredible for 1970. So there you go. That's another edition of Reliving Old Reviews as a useless tool of confusion. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Contrarians here. We've got merch. We've got Patreon. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. Hit the like button. I always forget to do that, but I'm trying to remember. But yeah, there you go. Let us know what you think of this review of URIAH HEEP and indeed how important this album is versus Black Sabbath versus Black Sabbath Paranoid versus Deep Purple In Rock. Talk to you later.